You know that feeling when you pull on your favorite jeans, lace up a clean pair of sneakers, and then catch your reflection and something just stops you. Not in a good way, in that quiet, slightly deflating way where you think, these are great jeans, those are great sneakers. So why does my lower half look like it got gently compressed in a photocopier? Everything's bunched, everything's heavy, the whole silhouette reads shorter than you actually are. And then your friend walks in wearing almost the same combination, same wash, similar shoe, and she looks long. Easy, unhurried, like she grabbed the first thing in her closet and it just worked. Here's the thing nobody breaks down clearly enough. That difference between you and your friend has almost nothing to do with height, nothing to do with age, nothing to do with whether your sneakers cost $40 or $140. It comes down to one mechanical reality, where the visual line breaks on your specific body, and whether the outfit lets it break cleanly or chops it into awkward little horizontal segments. That's it. That's the whole game, and once you see it you cannot unsee it. Welcome to the Style Dossier, the channel where we crack open the actual mechanics behind why certain outfits land and others quietly work against you. No fluff, no vague advice. Just the structural reasoning that changes how you get dressed. If you're new here, subscribing takes less than a second, and it means the next file lands in your feed automatically. Now, let's get into this one, because today's case file is something I've wanted to do for a while. We're taking the exact same sneaker and jeans combination and placing it on two completely different vertical body proportions, shorter legs relative to torso, and longer legs relative to torso, and examining, piece by piece, why one reads as balanced and the other reads as compressed. Same clothes, different architecture underneath, and then, the precise swaps that correct each one. But first, a piece of context that anchors everything we're about to discuss. Vertical proportion, not height, proportion. You can be 5'7" with a longer torso and comparatively shorter legs. You can be 5'1" with legs that make up most of your frame. The number on the measuring tape is almost irrelevant to how your outfits behave. What matters is the ratio, leg length to torso length. The visual split your body presents before a single garment touches it. A study published in the journal Body Image back in 2006, by Swamy and colleagues, found that participants consistently rated higher leg-to-body ratios as more aesthetically pleasing in female figures. The preferred ratio in one British sample hovered around 1.4. That's not a commandment. That's not a beauty rule you need to obey. But it does explain something real about why certain outfit architectures feel instantly right. When your clothes create the optical illusion of a longer lower half relative to your upper half, the silhouette reads as balanced, intentional, harmonious. And the beautiful thing, that illusion is entirely buildable, with rise, hem placement, color continuity, and shoe profile. You don't need to be born with it, you just need to know where to intervene. So, first file. The problem piece is a mid-rise straight-leg jean, let's say a 9.5-inch rise, cropped to land about 3 inches above the ankle bone, paired with a chunky white leather platform sneaker. Thick sole, high collar at the back, very visible heel tab. On a longer-legged frame, this combination almost styles itself. There's enough uninterrupted leg length above the crop that the horizontal cut at mid-ankle doesn't steal much from the overall vertical read. The chunky shoe adds some visual weight at the bottom, sure, but there's so much length above it that the weight feels grounded rather than heavy, like an anchor on a tall ship, proportional. Now put that identical outfit on a frame with shorter legs relative to the torso. Same 9.5-inch rise, same crop point, same chunky platform sneaker. What changes? Everything. The crop now breaks the leg line at its most vulnerable point, the lower third, where there isn't much real estate to spare. That 3 inches of exposed ankle between hem and shoe? On a shorter leg, that gap becomes a loud horizontal interruption. The eye stops there, reads the gap, then reads the shoe as a separate chunky block below it. And the rise, that 9.5 inches, isn't doing nearly enough to push the visual waistline upward and give the leg more room to breathe. So what does the viewer actually see? 3 stacked horizontal zones, a segment of denim, a band of skin, and a block of shoe. Each one shortening, each one working against the very ratio we just talked about. The swap. For the shorter leg proportion, this is what changes. The rise goes up to 11 inches or more. A true high rise that repositions the visual waist significantly higher on the torso, handing more of the overall silhouette to the leg. The hem drops to full length, no crop, no ankle gap, and falls clean to just barely kiss the top of the shoe. No bunching, no stacking of fabric over the tongue. Just a straight, unbroken line of denim meeting the shoe. And the sneaker itself shifts dramatically. Out goes the chunky platform with the high collar. In comes a slim, low-profile design. Think a simple leather or canvas shoe with a flat heel counter, no exaggerated tab, no thick padded ankle collar. And the color? It matches. Either the denim shade, a deep navy sneaker with dark indigo jeans, or the skin tone, so that the transition from leg to foot has no contrast break. What just happened architecturally? The high rise pushed the visual waist up, allocating more proportion to the lower body. The full-length hem removed the horizontal cut. The color match fused shoe and jean into one continuous column. You just shifted from a 50-50 visual split, half torso, half leg, towards something much closer to that 1/3 top, 2/3 bottom ratio that reads as naturally balanced. No heels involved, no height gained, just structure. And here's where the side-by-side comparison earns its value. Because that longer-legged frame we described, she can absolutely afford a crop. She can handle a chunky sneaker. She has visual length to spare, so a horizontal interruption at the ankle doesn't bankrupt her ratio. But she has her own version of this problem, and it shows up in the opposite direction. On a long-legged, short-torsoed body, the risk isn't compression at the bottom, it's disappearance at the top. If she reaches for an ultra-high-rise jean and tucks a long, voluminous top deep into the waistband, her already short torso gets visually swallowed. The legs look endless, sure, but the upper body reads cramped, rushed, like the outfit forgot to include a midsection. Her swap is completely different. A mid-rise jean, that 9.5-inch rise is actually ideal here, with a top that ends at the high hip and doesn't tuck, creating a small but defined torso zone without compressing it further. Her sneaker choice is far more forgiving. She can handle a higher vamp, a chunkier sole, a contrasting color, even a bold white against dark denim, because her lower half already provides the length the silhouette needs. Same garment category, entirely different calibration based on proportion. Let me pause here for a moment and ask you something genuine, because I'm curious where this audience falls. When you look at yourself in jeans and sneakers, do you tend to feel like your legs look shorter than you'd expect them to? Or do you feel like your torso gets lost, like there isn't enough body above the waist? Tell me in the comments, because the answer completely changes which swap is your actual priority, and I'd love to know which direction most of you lean. Alright. Next file. The problem piece is a light wash relaxed fit jean with a wide double-rolled cuff, 2 thick folds creating a substantial band of fabric sitting at roughly mid-shin height, paired with a bright white high-top canvas sneaker that covers the ankle entirely. On the longer leg proportion, this reads cool, a little 90s, effortless. The double cuff is a deliberate style choice, not a proportion problem, because there's enough shin length and thigh length above and below it to absorb the horizontal interruption without losing the overall vertical read. On the shorter-legged frame, that double cuff becomes genuinely damaging to the line, not because it's unstylish, but because it creates a thick, visually demanding horizontal bar at the widest part of the lower leg. The eye latches onto it, stops. And everything below it, that bright white high top covering the ankle, becomes a second visual block stacked directly underneath. 2 horizontal zones packed into the lowest portion of an already shorter limb. The leg now reads in 3 chopped segments: thigh, cuff band, and shoe block. The swap. Unroll that cuff completely. Hem the jean to a clean straight fall that just grazes the tongue of the shoe. No gap, no fold, no visual event at the lower leg. And the high top switches to a low-cut sneaker in the same tonal family as the denim. Soft ivory, or pale stone rather than crisp optical white, so it doesn't shout against the wash. You've just eliminated 2 of the 3 horizontal divisions. The leg is back to being one unbroken element. Now a subtlety about color that most styling advice glosses over too quickly. Research by Sidhu and colleagues, published in Acta Psychologica, examined how clothing color biases body size perception. They found a large main effect. The statistical measure was substantial, showing that black, blue, and red clothing produced measurable body size underestimation in observers, while lighter and grayer tones led to overestimation. The practical implication for our jeans and sneakers file: when you pair dark indigo denim with a bright white sneaker, you're not just creating a visual break in the vertical line, you're introducing a zone of maximum contrast at the exact point where the leg ends and the foot begins. The eye doesn't just notice it, it fixates on it. Whereas a tonal pairing, dark denim flowing into a dark or skin-matched shoe, keeps the gaze moving downward uninterrupted. The body reads as one continuous column rather than two stacked pieces. This matters more the shorter the leg, because there's less vertical space to recover from that contrast interruption. One more file, and this one catches people off guard because the problem isn't the shoe or the jean, it's what happens at the back. A lot of modern sneakers have an exaggerated heel tab, that thick padded collar or pull loop at the rear of the ankle. On a shorter-legged frame wearing ankle grazing or slightly cropped jeans, that heel tab becomes visible from behind and from the side every time you walk. It adds bulk at ankle height. It makes the transition from leg to foot look heavier, thicker, more eventful than it needs to be. On a longer-legged body, the same tab barely registers because it sits within such a long unbroken line that it's just a minor detail rather than a proportion-altering element. The swap for the shorter leg frame is quiet but powerful. Choose sneakers with a flat minimal heel collar. No oversized tab. No thick padding around the ankle opening. Just a clean, smooth back that doesn't introduce any visual event at the point where your leg meets your foot. It's a tiny detail, the kind of thing you'd never notice in a store unless you were looking for it, but it removes one more interruption from a zone that cannot afford even one unnecessary break. And one final piece that ties several of these files together, fabric behavior at the hem. Jeans that bunch, that stack, that accordion over the tongue of the shoe because they're slightly too long. On a shorter leg, that bunching creates visual noise at the very bottom of the silhouette. It makes the ankle area look heavy and unresolved. A clean no-break hem, where the denim falls straight and just touches the shoe without folding, without pooling, is one of the single most powerful proportion tricks available. It's also the least expensive to fix. A tailor charges a few dollars to hem jeans to your exact shoe height. And the visual difference between a bunched hem and a clean one, on a shorter leg, is genuinely startling. It can change the entire read of the outfit. So let's pull every file together. Here's what we've established. The sneaker and jeans combination isn't governed by a single universal rule, it's governed by your specific vertical proportion, and the corrections are precise, not generic. For a shorter leg proportion, push the rise higher to reallocate visual real estate to the lower body. Eliminate crops, cuffs, and ankle gaps that create horizontal breaks. Match shoe color to denim or skin tone so the foot reads as an extension of the leg, rather than a separate object. Choose slim, low-profile sneakers with flat heel collars and minimal visual events. Let the hem kiss the shoe. No bunching, no stacking, no pooling. For a longer leg proportion, you have latitude. Crops work, contrast works, chunky soles work. But watch for torso compression from ultra-high rises paired with deep tucks that erase your midsection. A mid-rise, a hip-length untucked top, and a more forgiving shoe choice will keep your proportions looking intentional rather than top-heavy. In both cases, the target is identical. Get the outfit's visual split as close to that 1/3 to 2/3 golden ratio as your specific body allows. Not because it's a law handed down from anywhere, because it's what makes you look like the most balanced, most proportional, most intentional version of yourself. And that quiet confidence you feel when you catch your reflection, and nothing is competing, nothing compressed, nothing chopped into segments, everything flowing as one clean line from waist to floor. That's not vanity. That's not obsessing over details. That's visual literacy. That's understanding how clothes actually work on your specific frame, not someone else's. And now you know exactly what to look for. I'll see you in the next file. Until then, stay styled, stay sharp. The details